The Baltimore Ravens literally went from a middle-of-the-road defense to an elite one overnight. No, it wasn't by a big trade or a crazy scheme change. Simply by reshuffling the positions of their defensive players, everything changed. Through the first 10 weeks, they allowed the third most points in the league, fourth most yards per play, the most passing touchdowns. But then in week 11, they made one simple switch. Moved Kyle Hamilton from the slot to safety. Now they've become one of the best defenses in the NFL. Their blitz rates are the same, their coverage rates are nearly identical. How could this one simple switch make this much of a difference? Before we dive deeper to answer that question, I want to thank this week's sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Have you ever dealt with an insurance company that feels like they're more after your money than you? Well, that's where Morgan & Morgan is different. They've made the injury law process super easy, so you can submit a claim, talk to your legal team, even text your lawyer, all from while sitting on your butt, watching your favorite team get the crap kicked out of them. Hiring a lawyer can be overwhelming, but in just 8 clicks or less, you can have your own personal legal team who will help you fight against these giant billion-dollar companies. And you only have to pay if you win. So if your case doesn't hold up, if you mess something up, completely free, you're good. It's super easy to use, it's all through your phone. All law firms are not the same. Morgan & Morgan is the biggest for a reason. They win a lot. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, you don't just get a lawyer assigned to your case. You get a dedicated legal team, case investigators, paralegals, and customer case specialists all focus on maximizing your settlement. If you're in an accident or are injured in any way, you should know how to protect your rights. You can use Morgan & Morgan to help you win by visiting the link tryforthepeople.com/AlexRollins, or click the link in the description box, or call the number 844-263-7798. Until week 11, Kyle Hamilton played more slot corner snaps than safety snaps in every single game. He's always been a chess piece, where last year Mike McDonald moved him all over the field. Then when Zach Orr took over this year, he wanted Hamilton closer to the ball, playing in the box, defending slot receivers and tight ends one-on-one, blitzing off the edge at times, blowing up the run, or felt he'd be more effective if he was closer to the ball because he could make more plays if he was closer to the action. However, this destabilized their safety group, and with a shaky back end of their defense, the entire unit struggled. The sore spot of their defense was giving up explosive plays of 20 or more yards. They frequently busted coverages where defenders were confused with their assignments and didn't know where to go, so they never had a consistent group that could execute their scheme down in and down out, and it hurt them repeatedly. I hate to blame one specific player, but safety Marcus Williams from Minneapolis Miracle Lore was the player who lost his job because he struggled to execute his assignments on the back end and guard receivers one-on-one. Quarterbacks had a perfect passer rating when targeting him, and it was largely because he made mistakes and messed up his assignments. The Ravens are playing cover 2 zone with 2 deep safeties guarding deep halves of the field. A cover 2 zone safety's assignment is to midpoint the 2 receivers, meaning finding the center point in between the first and second receiver vertical. The Bucs have this post-wheel peel concept, where Sterling Shepard grabs Williams' attention with the post so Mike Evans can sneak in behind him with the wheel. Williams fails to midpoint Shepard and Evans, and the Bucs score a touchdown right under his nose. With Williams playing safety and Hamilton underneath, the third-year safety still played well and did a lot of things that really helped this defense. They'd stick him on any tight end one-on-one, and he erases anybody. Whether it's Travis Kelce, Mike Gesicki here, when he's manned up and you're a tight end, you are not getting open. He was great in the run game too. When playing in the slot, he could take on O-linemen, shoot gaps, blow up the run, and cause havoc inside. He was also a great blitzer. He understood that when he blitzed, offenses would usually answer with his quick bubble screen to replace him. So he was cognizant of the situation, knew to get his hands up, and bat down the pass. Great awareness. A staple of the Ravens defense last year with McDonald and this year with Orr is each player in the defense is able to play multiple positions from any one look. The Ravens' Tampa 2 zone coverage is the best example of this, where Tampa 2 zone is a 2 deep zone coverage with a zone defender guarding this open void up the middle. So this leaves 4 defenders underneath instead of the typical 5 in regular cover 2 zone. What makes the Ravens' defensive philosophy and scheme unique is how they can use many different players to fill in those different coverage roles. Instead of typically just starting 2 defenders deep, a middle defender with a little depth, they can drop a corner into the deep half, Hamilton can play that too, or the middle defender. Everybody can fill any role within the coverage scheme. However, these first 10 weeks, with Hamilton playing slot corner more than safety, he was a little limited in his ability to disguise since he was always starting from underneath. To disguise a coverage as a safety, he'd have to backpedal really quick to gain any depth. And still, the Ravens had Marcus Williams back there, who struggled to cover Jamar Chase when the play broke down. After they benched him for the old veteran Eddie Jackson, who then promptly got dog-walked by Jameis Winston and the Browns in Week 8, then again in Week 10, Burrow hung 430 yards on him, it was time for Hamilton to move back to his rightful spot. The Ravens went from 25th in scoring defense and 27th in total defense to leading the league in both. Their explosive play rate against went from 32nd to 11th, and they became elite overnight. Early on, they heavily struggled with the explosive plays, so Hamilton provided that stability where he wouldn't blow coverage assignments, so he wouldn't give up those huge plays that killed him. On the very first play of the game, the Steelers try to catch him sleeping, where they run what looks like a sail concept, a concept every offense has run for all of eternity, where George Pickens is supposed to clear out Hamilton deep to the corner to open up space for Van Jefferson in the intermediate. However, the Steelers try and run Pickens back to the post to fool Hamilton, but now that he's back there, it doesn't work. He can also bracket from up top. Here he could either be dropping deep as a 2-high safety, dropping into the middle to play zone, or bracketing your best receiver on a key third down. My favorite part of him rolling back to safety is how much more disguise the Ravens are capable of executing. With him able to play so many roles, their Tampa 2 zone package has become even deadlier. Like here on a 3rd and 12, he's the deep 1-high safety, and the Ravens are showing man coverage. The Texans have this levels concept, where if Marlon Humphrey is in man and he's this far off, CJ Stroud can hit the dig. But Hamilton drops to the deep half, and Stroud has to quickly get rid of the ball, and the Texans don't convert. He provided comfort on the back end, so the Ravens could get back to their philosophical roots and use unconventional players to fill into the slots of a conventional Tampa 2 zone coverage. Hamilton and Ardarius Washington are the deep half players just like it looks. Roquan Smith looks like he's the middle defender too. But watch how the Ravens drop David Ojabo, who weighs 250, Tavius Robinson, who weighs 260. Stroud is sure these guys are rushing the passer, that's what they do, but this allows them to bring heat off the edge and create a big play. They just have so many different ways to get into this same 2-high, middle defender, 4 underneath Tampa 2 zone coverage. The quarterback never knows who's going where. On 3rd and 3, Hamilton is the lone deep safety, dead center, but he's going to drop down as the middle defender, and Marlon Humphrey and Ardarius Washington the 2 deep half defenders. Russell Wilson sees something's up, so he correctly audibles to this 2-high beater in smash. The idea with smash to beat 2-high is this. Since there's a deep half safety and a corner underneath, the corner route and the flat route will force the cornerback to make a choice, and Russ can just target whoever Brandon Stephens doesn't guard. Because it's Marlon Humphrey who drops deep as a safety, and not Hamilton, who would have had to cover more ground over the top, there is nobody viable to throw to, and the Steelers have to punt. All of this is not to say he never plays underneath. He'll still roll down to guard tight ends and blanket them. He'll even rush off the edge too and put pressure on the quarterback. It's just that he lines up deep more now to affect more areas of the field, but yeah, he's just as dominant underneath. When he's down here, he's still affecting the quarterback and the run off the edge, and is still a plus player at this position on the field. He can run down the back from off the edge full speed ahead, and then when offenses see on film that he's coming a million miles an hour, they'll boot the quarterback out the other way. But this is true dominance. Hamilton is not guessing. He's reading things out and using his incredible speed and play recognition. And then, even when he starts underneath, he can still be a middle defender in Tampa 2 zone, so CJ Stroud has no idea where he's going to be after the snap, and he can intercept the pass. The Ravens had a middling defense, one that could have held them back from getting to where they wanted to go. But then in week 11, they took their superstar defender, repositioned him, and now they are dominating. By taking him from the slot and putting him deep at safety, the Ravens defense has been reborn. And now that their defense is as elite as their offense, it's time for the Baltimore Ravens to win. This is their year. They've lost and lost and lost in the playoffs. So now it's time for this team to win.